and welcome to another edition of the Throwing Bagels Podcast. Jason Hamo here, along with Kevin Mooney. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm good, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing well. And Chris Douglas. Chris, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
So last time we had spoke to the hockey coaches for the men and the women. So we decided to bring on the coach of the men's basketball team, Coach Jason Leone, the National Association of Basketball Coaches District 3 Coach of the Year last year. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Wonderful to be talking with you again.
We're glad to have you back on. We have a lot to talk about after last year. You before we go into this season, we're going to go back to last year for a quick second when you guys ended in the second round of the NCAA tournament. You had a tight contest with Williams that was a 2-point. You lost by 2 points. What do you and the returning players remember most about that game?
Well, a couple things. It was a heartbreaking way to lose, but that's, when you play in the NCAA tournament, there's always typically the games are really close. They're all really good teams that qualify, and it's just an abrupt ending for all the teams that make it. It's a conclusion of a exceptional year just to make the tournament, right? And then for us, it was, certainly difficult because when we lost that game, we were saying goodbye to some incredibly winning players. I mean, the senior class won 100 games in 4 years and accomplished a lot of firsts for our program. But the impact they had went far beyond just the on-the-court victories. And that was something that I was most proud of was, yes, we won a lot of games. Yes, there was NCAA tournament advancement and conference championships, but that was a group that led us through COVID. And that was a group that had, guys graduate with graduate degrees, decide to stay for a fifth year. Just the connection they made with our fans and our alumni and the supporters of Oswego State Athletics was immeasurable. So that when the season ended, it was, you always prepare yourself that at some point it comes to an end, right? But the abruptness with which it came to an end was very remindful that the majority of that group, was on the other side of that result most of the time. And the irony with sports is that, unfortunately or fortunately, the shoe always goes on the other foot at some point.
Was that senior class the winningest class of all time in Oswego? Do you know?
Do I have the facts? No, I'm going to guess 100 wins over 4 years is probably the best. I can say that with pretty good certainty.
Yeah. So what lessons did the team take away from last year, especially the returning players that might benefit them this year?
Well, there's only 9 returning players because of graduation, but I think some lessons, good was how impactful being on a connected sports team is at any level, but especially at our level where the kids aren't on scholarship. I think that past the talent level of the team, and again, the results portion of things, it really was a synergistic relationship between talent and intangible qualities, connectedness of team members, time spent in the gym and away from the gym, building something incredibly special. And on the negative side, our team last year really, it was very difficult for them at times to enjoy process. There was such high expectations, and the older that a team gets and the more they play together, there's this element that you can, turn it on and off, so to speak, that our team last year really struggled with. And it's hard as a coach because, they won 26 games and only lost 3. And 2 of those losses were last minute losses, right? There was only one team that beat us handily last year. So you kind of sound, irresponsible by saying that team had any problems, but to their credit, they rose the level of expectations and lifted a bar where national prominence was part of the standard. And, one of the lessons that team had to learn was you really have to be detailed and process all the way through. So although 99% of our schedule, we did all the right things, a great lesson is there's always somebody out there that's better or that's looking to knock you off. And the more consistently you're at the top of that mountain, the harder it is to stay there. And I think that's a great life lesson that sport can teach us.
So you mentioned last season was the last year for several of your most successful players in program history, including Jamal Keeley and Jeremiah Sparks. What legacy have they left for other players in the future?
Just how important, teamwork is, and how important it was for those guys to stay and play together. For as many negatives as COVID brought on, it allowed those players, and especially I hit some of those guys that you mentioned, they were first generation college students, and they walked out of here not only with their bachelor's degree, but some of them walked out of here with a master's degree. And that's something probably 5 to 10 years prior they never thought was possible, right? So their legacy was one that combined sport with education, overall educational experience. And then just how much pride and joy they took in being in our program. And they kind of passed that baton off to guys that entered our program that are now shifting into more of leadership roles this year. So their contributions and their lessons learned were, can't be overstated.
We mentioned Jeremiah Sparks. He, over the summer, signed a contract with a pro team in Germany, but he chose to sign that contract on campus. I mean, what did that mean to you?
That was totally his idea. One of the ways that Jeremiah, his infectious joy and personality and the relationship that he formed with our community was through a lot of our summer camps. And I hired him last year to kind of be a co-director of my basketball camps. And that's a lot of responsibility because during those weeks, I'm not always able to directly be in the gym. There's things with recruiting going on and, administrative parts of the camp that I'm kind of a one-man operation. So, and I was operating without an assistant coach last summer. So I hired Jeremiah. I thought it'd be a good role for him. And it just so happened that his offer from Germany came during the time of one of our camps. And he came to me and said, Coach, would you mind if I signed my contract with the kids being there and at the end of camp one day? And I said, sure, that's how you want to do it. He said, I absolutely would. And the parents that were there picking their children up that day and the campers themselves, it was really a wonderful scene. And again, that was his idea. It was incredibly meaningful to him, and I'm sure it was to the campers and their parents. I don't know if I've seen a player in our program captivate a community the way that he had.
The preseason top 25 came out for this season, and we're sitting a little bit outside the top 25 right now. We got 21 votes. Considering the loss of the so many good players from last year's team, do you think the voters are slighting this team a little bit, or they're just not sure what to expect right now from this team because you guys lost so many talented guys?
I don't want to slight our team or our program, but I think they're being a little generous. I think there's a lot of question marks with our team, clearly. I think the attention that we've received with the voters is probably more of a product of the way our team has played, in particular the last 3 years, and kind of the tradition that we've established within our region and nationally. Anytime you have continuity and the position of the head coach, where I've been here now for 14 years, our team has won over 20 games many times. I think there's an expectation there, and that's probably where the votes come from. We're certainly not that level of team at this juncture in time, but I still, one of the things I promised myself and I promised our team members was, we weren't going to lower the expectation for our program. We're not going to coach the team or instruct the team where everything will be results oriented early on. I don't know if our team is quite ready to beat teams at an NCAA tournament caliber level right now. But part of the journey of this whole season will be, I think this team has great opportunity to grow further than maybe our teams have the past couple of years because there's so many new faces and we're very athletic. Our talent is more dispersed this year than it has been in past years. We may not have the star power other than a key on the team, but I think we have more players that have the ability to contribute. And I think we're going to be really fun and exciting to watch.
Coach, I remember last year when we spoke to you before the season, and I think it was like right before, I think you had just finished a practice a little bit earlier that day, and you said the same type of thing. You were like, our team is not ready. We're not as good as we were last year. You weren't, I want to say down, but you were holding up a certain level where you were just like, we're playing like garbage right now. And then you guys ripped off all those wins.
Well, I probably get accused by some of being a little bit of a pessimist, but I consider myself to be a realist. And one of the things I try to do is when people ask me questions, I truly try to give, while remaining, having humility in my tone, I try to give them an actual depiction of what's going on. One of the things last year was because we had so many returning players, we kind of knew who we were early on, and there wasn't as much room for growth. Didn't mean that team wasn't any good or that we didn't accomplish a lot, but this year, we have so many people trying to prove things. The energy level and the effort level at this point in time compared to a year ago is significantly different. And that's not to slight our team last year. It's just those guys really knew what to expect. And the more you learn about a job, you know how to, at some level, pace yourself for the whole season. We'll have our own challenges with this group with fatigue and physicality, just playing so many, younger players. But look, at every season presents its own journey and challenges. So as a coach, you have a roadmap as to, or a plan that always changes. But initially, you kind of coach yourself through how you're going to instruct and coach the team and mentor them, right? And right now, patience is an important skill that I have to exhibit. We're going to go through some growing pains, and I know that, but we have to be patient because I think we want to make sure these guys stick with it through ups and downs because we all know success isn't linear, right? So then they're prepared to hopefully play their best in February when it really matters most.
Coach, you brought in a new assistant to your staff, Kyle Milligan. What's he
Yes.
bring to the table?
He's great for me, a multitude of things, but we were very fortunate to get him. He came very highly recommended. Kyle's the first assistant that I've hired here that I haven't had a prior relationship with. So I've got great respect for his most immediate supervisor, Brian Barnes at Sage. He's somebody I've known for a long time. And I know Brian's a very detailed head coach, similar to, kind of the way I want to run my program. Kyle came very highly recommended. And, for me at this juncture in my career where I'm raising younger kids and I have a wife who travels a lot, I need somebody that's going to, amongst other things that the job asks for, the thing that Kyle brings that's very helpful to me is that he is able to do things without me looking over his shoulder. He's very mature. He's a guy that really gets things done, and I don't have to check on him. He's a go-getter, and he really works at it. He's got a bright future. In addition to his basketball acumen, he really enjoys recruiting. He enjoys the player relationships, and he's somebody that really studies the game. He wants to be a head coach, and those are some attributes that I really look for when hiring staff members.
And it's a pretty good mix if you look at the roster of returning players and newcomers. You mentioned Aki Anderson figures to be one of the leaders, but who else on the team figures to take a prominent role in terms of leadership for this season?
Kenny Lazo, who was a transfer student for us last year. He's in his second year. He's an outgoing guy, very energetic, and he's somebody that connects well with other people. In addition to somebody's a very good student. He gets into the gym on his own and pulls people along with him. So I think that's a necessary quality when going into a leadership role. And then Chris Toscano. Chris is kind of a pseudo walk-on for us. He's not somebody that's played a lot, but he's somebody that really, garners a lot of respect within our locker room. So those are our three main leaders. But just because they have the title of captain, there's other guys, Rashawn Grant, Sean Edwards, to name a couple others that have been with us for a long period of time, for 4 years, that really also bring some great leadership qualities to the table for our team.
And what is your take on the freshman class?
Talented, energetic, hardworking, and I think guys that we're going to be able to lean on moving forward to be potential captains and leaders. So I feel very strong and confident about the place we're in once this next crew of guys, because we do lose 10 guys to graduation after this year again.
Wow. So I know Kevin and I have mentioned in the past that we're both Staten Island.
Yep.
And we've noticed in the past, and we've mentioned it in the past, that we've seen that you've gone after and brought in a bunch of Staten Island kids. So the pipeline seems to be pretty strong coming out of Staten Island. You have Jarrell Monroe from St. Peter's, who I know you mentioned last time. That's kind of one of the schools you tend to go to. You also brought in now a kid from Susan Wagner, Makai Jackson, and then you still have Stephen Bradley, who's a sophomore on this team. What is it about that continues to be one of your favorite areas to find talent in?
From Staten Island?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we've established meaningful relationships down there. Second of all, I think that there's things from Staten, not to stereotype, but there's things, with Staten Island that really breed SUNY, a lot of, middle-class income type families there. The basketball is really strong, and quite frankly, like it's kind of it's the most difficult borough to kind of get to, and they're kind of an afterthought when you think of New York City basketball. So this started where we have done a lot of recruiting. Even before I got here, our program has had good players from Staten Island, and it's a place where once you kind of have a really good experience for one of the kids, it's a smaller community where people talk, and then it has helped us to get subsequent recruits out of there. And then now we have a great reputation in that area where when we're looking for new student athletes, we've got a great reputation there.
So let's talk a little bit about the schedule now. You start on November 8th and 9th with the Rochester tournament. What drew you to partake in that tournament?
Well, it's a good tournament. I don't know if you guys know that, but I'm an alum of the University of Rochester. But it's an hour and 15-minute drive. It's an opportunity to play some good teams from out of region, and it made a lot of sense for us from a geographical perspective. So, so that was amongst other reasons. Those were a couple.
A lot easier to get to than Las Vegas.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do another out of region trip next year. So it hasn't totally been approved yet, but it's going to be soon. So I'll have a fun announcement to make here, hopefully within the next few weeks.
All right, Coach, we'll switch gears up here just a little bit. It's a little bit of a riddle. Okay. So hopefully you can follow along with this one. So former Oswego men's hockey coach, George Roll, is the current men's hockey coach at Nazareth.
Yes.
Former Oswego men's basketball coach, Kevin Broderick, is also a coach at Nazareth and a Fulton native, by the way.
Yes.
Coach Broderick. Okay. So Coach Broderick coached your brother, Joe, while he played at Oswego. You're not leaving for Nazareth, right? Like you're going to stick around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I've got a great setup here, and it's funny, when I took the job 14 years ago, I probably didn't think I would be here as long as I have, but there was some really good things that have gone on here that you never say never, but I certainly, the plan is, as long as the school wants me to be here, for the rest of my career. So there's been some really good things. They've done some really nice, the college has done some really nice things to keep me here. And I hope they feel like I've returned the favor and given them, a nationally prominent program here in Division III, which I don't think at least the people in charge at the point when I was hired, I don't think they had those level of expectations when I first got here. We were kind of somebody that only had a national reputation in men's ice hockey, and um, we've done. Hopefully, they feel proud that we've done some things to kind of elevate the prominence of our program here.
So you mentioned you're friends with Kevin Broderick. What sort of
Yeah,
relationship do you have with him? Or does it go way back or?
Well, I got to know him when he coached my brother, and I was still a student athlete at that point. But we have a few ties. First of all, he's been a mentor. When the job opened here, when Adam Stockwell left, he was, um, very helpful and helping me with, just when you get a new job, people on campus, behind the scenes that could be of help to me, just learning the campus, people to talk to about admissions, financial aid, academic support. There's little tidbits that every coach needs to know about how a campus operates. And Kevin was so generous with his time and over the years, and then obviously as a basketball coach, he's terrific. He's got a very good reputation in coaching circles with the way that he coaches his team. So he's always been somebody I can bounce things off of. And I've always, other than the game that we play, I've always enjoyed sitting back and watching his teams play. They do things the right way. And Kevin's an incredible, he's an incredible ambassador for our game. And he runs his program with such great humility and just always does things the right way. He's a high character guy. In addition to that, we've got obviously some ties with my brother and sister going to the college here, being here when he was the coach. His brother Sean and Sean coached the Bolton High School team, so we have connection there. So there's a multitude of things that have gone on over the years that have kept us close. But I've got great amount of respect for him.
Did your sister play basketball here also, or no?
She did for a semester and then just decided she didn't want to do it anymore, but she had a great experience playing basketball at Oswego and going to school here. And her and my brother were twins. So whenever one did something, the other one didn't stray too far behind. So checked off every stereotype of twins.
Did Coach Broderick, how did he prep you for, taking a position at SUNY Oswego? Did he mention anything in particular about the program, as you were going through the process?
Just that, I think it was a really hard move for him to leave Oswego. I don't think Nazareth might have been the only place. I don't want to speak for him, but, he did say it was a really, really difficult decision that he went back and forth on. Obviously he has family ties in the area here, but he's a Nazareth alum, and I just think it was a very unique. Nazareth also held a very special place in his heart, so from what he told me back then, but he still stays close to the program. His wife Jennifer still works on our campus. He is connected with us and donates to our program. I mean, I can't say enough good things. We both come from kind of a similar coaching tree and style as well. Like he worked for legendary coach John Beeline at Canisius, and Coach Beeline has been a mentor to me too. So the way we talk and think the game, is pretty similar as well.
I love Coach Beeline. I wish he would have stayed at Michigan.
I don't know too much about what went into that, but he's meant the world to me as well. He's done a lot of good things for me over the years.
We mentioned earlier about tournaments. Another tournament the Lakers are taking part in this season is the Stevens Holiday Tournament in the first week of January. And Stevens always typically rolls out a pretty tough team. What attracted you to taking part in that tournament?
Well, it gets us down closer to Staten Island, as you know, and that's been a recruiting hotbed for us, but also for our downstate recruiting, New York City, Long Island, Rockland, Westchester County. We've got players on our team from those areas. So it gets us down close there. And obviously New York City's Hoboken's a great place to go. We'll be able to do some things with our guys that'll be meaningful during the couple days that we're down there.
So when
and
you
obviously we're three good teams in the tournament as well. I mean, most importantly, we're going to get 2 quality games out of it.
So when you do go to a tournament like that, do you look for to go against like the tougher teams like last year in the D3 tournament out in Las Vegas?
Yeah, it's, program has risen to a level where I think we, more than when I first got here, we think about our strength of schedule and playing as many tough games as we can out of league. Um, one of the advantages of playing a stronger schedule, like last year, we got tripped up in the finals of our league tournament, but because we played such a challenging schedule, we still were able to get a bid to the NCAA tournament. So I don't know if our team is quite at that same, thought process as we have been the previous 3 years, but I also don't, as I mentioned previously in the interview, I don't want to take a step back with our standard and expectations. So we still want to have some sort of a footprint within the national scene of Division III basketball. Even if we're not able to achieve, victories in those games, it's still good to play really good teams and get our younger players a feel for, the improvement that our team has to have, not only this year, but over their 4 years to make it back to that level of play.
Well, coach, as the lone person on this podcast who lives down in that general area, I'm planning on trying to get to at least one of those games when you
Oh,
guys are
good.
down at Stevens. I
Good.
live about 30 minutes away. So, but I could take
Sure.
the train. I could take the train right there. So I'm going to try to catch at least one of those games when you guys are down there.
Great. Well, let us know. Keep us posted. I'd love to meet up.
I'll have to see when the tickets go on sale for it. Find out.
I think there'll be plenty of good seats still available.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate your time tonight. And we wish you nothing but the best this season, and we hope we can have another great season for Oswego.
So do I. And thanks for your time and all you guys do. Thanks for bearing with me with the as darkness sets upon us in my car here. I'm going to continue my recruiting road trip south here. But I appreciate you guys thinking of me and thinking enough of our program to have me on to talk about Laker basketball again.
Yeah, always, Coach. We're always willing to have we always want to have you guys on. You and the basketball team. I mean the hockey team. Uh, you guys have, especially, like you said earlier, you've brought our program to a higher prominence, right? When before, like you said, it wasn't thought of, it was hockey. It's a hockey school. It's always been a hockey school. But I feel like now Oswego has kind of taken that step forward to become not just a hockey school anymore. It's a basketball school and a hockey school. So we always want to have you guys on.
I appreciate that. Well, there was a lot of success before me with Coach Broderick and Coach Stockwell, and they were tough acts to follow. But the one thing that I was hoping when we got here was maybe that we could have an opportunity to take this thing to another level. So hopefully, our fans and alums and the people who follow the program feel like we've done a good job of that. And obviously, it's our job, my job, to make sure we stay there now.
Well, we appreciate it, Coach, and good luck on the rest of your recruiting trip.
Thanks for everything, guys.
And that was Oswego State men's basketball coach, Coach Jason Leone. Guys, I'll tell you, every time we have him on, he just makes me want to play some basketball for him. He makes me want to start put my shorts on and go out there and start shooting hoops.
Dude, yeah, same actually. I do. I wish I had some eligibility left. I'd get out there.
I definitely have some eligibility left. I don't know if he wants a 46-year-old has been, but
You graduated already. What do you mean?
I still have eligibility. I have 4 years of eligibility, my friend. I never played a single minute.
Major in something else and go back to Oswego.
I'll go back. I'll get a graduate degree in something. Maybe I'll get my PhD. Who knows?
Right, there you go. Yeah.
Who knows? The world is my oyster.
I used to have a really good jumper, but again, we're 45, 46 years old.
Yeah.
That's thing.
Yeah. You know what? My go-to was an ugly hook shot. That was effective. It was
Kareem style, like Kareem style.
It was basically Kareem style. I did it in high school as well, and you
play for the high school team?
No, I didn't. Oh. I played soccer for the high school team, but like gym class.
Okay.
I played basketball, volleyball too, and stuff like that. But I had a big wind up to the hook. Like, so
From rear hip all the way up.
They kept calling a
yeah.
walk on him because he took 5 steps before he finally got the ball up over
No,
him.
so people would just slap the ball out of my hand after a while, like because they knew it was coming and they would just slap it out. I'm like, all right, whatever.
That's great.
But it's funny, Chris, when you were talking about the Oswego Nazareth connection, and that when Chris, you started a little bit after us, but
Yep, 97.
yeah, so Jason and I started at Oswego in '96, and that was also the first year of George Roll for hockey and Kevin Broderick for basketball, and both of them wound up as head coaches at Nazareth, and that's just weird. And they're currently head coaches at Nazareth. And although George Roll announced earlier a couple of months ago that this would be his final season coaching Nazareth, but it's just weird how the stars aligned and they both eventually went from Oswego to Nazareth. So,
Yeah, it's very, very funny how that worked out.
and so I think back to my days, starting at NYO when we would interview Coach Roll, after the game, and of course it was Coach Gozick after the first period, and then Coach Roll post game, and that was brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah, I was supposed to freshman year. I was supposed to cover Coach Broderick for WTOP, and I just for some reason I just never ended up. I mean, for multiple reasons, I never ended up actually doing anything with it. I couldn't get out to Laker Hall. It was like, Laker Hall is a little bit of a hike to get to. B, I was like, how am I getting all this equipment out there? Like how am I would have to bring a camera with me, and I don't think we had any like mini cams at that point in time. So I was supposed to carry some like humongous camera with me, and I didn't have a car, so
Man.
it just did not seem it was like it was going to work out to my advantage.
Those were the days. Like
Yeah,
when
sure
we did
were.
when we did play by play, for NYO, I had an enormous bag of stuff that I'd have to
Yeah.
drag with me, and I didn't have a car either. So I'm dragging this stuff from Lonis all the way out to Romney, to do games, and that was, man, that was the experience.
Those
Yeah, it was
those
brutal.
were not the good old days.
No,
that part of the good old days was not the good
Yeah.
old days.
Oh,
Nowadays they're carrying around like some mini little thing that just takes that takes video and
Yeah.
like God knows what they have
Not even
today.
they're probably hardwired in like they are at the Deb now.
Oh, probably, but I mean, for cameras and things like that, like I don't know if they have stuff that I don't think they just keep them there.
Probably.
Maybe they do. Who knows?
Who knows?
well, traveling on the road, calling hockey games for NYO on the road was always a barrel of fun.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
you'd be dealing with trap doors, getting up to balconies, having to lug all that stuff up a
Plattsburgh or
ladder.
Potsdam. Oh my
Potsdam,
God.
they had,
The
they had
worst setup
their,
ever.
their
You had to
balcony,
climb a
like,
ladder.
yeah, it was a balcony attached to the wall, and you had to climb a
Yeah.
fire escape
That
basically to
seems
get up
safe.
there.
Yeah. Holding the bag while you're climbing
Yeah.
up.
So
One
that
person
was
would climb up first, so the other person could then pass the bag up when they got to the top.
Then Plattsburgh had like police practically stationed at the entrance to the press box. Let me see your ID. Like this is.
Did I ever tell you guys this story about when we were doing a game that Chris, I was I like almost cursed out some woman who was working there at the time because like during
No,
the
you did
intermission-
curse her out. You did. Curse
No,
her
I did not curse her
You
out. I
did
did not
curse.
curse. I did not. Well,
I
I might
have
have
the
cursed on
tape
there. I
somewhere.
cursed on the radio. I didn't curse
Yes,
her
you did.
out.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right.
no. Oh
Okay.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, that was it. I didn't realize we were on the air. But anyway, so here's what happened.
Hot
So
mic situation.
Yeah, it was a hot mic situation. So we're in an intermission, right? I go downstairs to get an interview. I come back up and they give you like these like ridiculous press passes that you put around your neck, They think they're all like serious in Plattsburgh. So I'm walking back and the thing's around my neck, mind you, right? So I'm walking back and I'm about to go up the stairs and this woman like stops me and she's like, "Where you going?" And I'm like holding a recorder in my hand. Like I'm holding everything in my hand, right? And she's like, I'm broadcasting the game. She's like, "Where's your pass?" I'm like, Are you serious right now? I'm like, "It's right here." So she finally lets me go. I go up the little stairs to get in there. Kevin is talking, but I didn't realize he was I thought he was just talking to me. I didn't realize he was actually on the air. And in hindsight, maybe I wasn't paying much attention because I was already pissed off at that lady. So because I did hear him say, and Jason Hamo's back. And then I was like, so in hindsight, I realized that, but I was like, I get back, I'm like, that blah 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 woman wouldn't let me up the stairs. And he goes, and we're on the air. I was like, oh,
We're gonna take a break. We'll be back after
We'll
this.
be right back.
Oh
yeah.
I have
that was a good
somewhere.
I
That's
have
on
that tape somewhere too. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I
man.
don't know where that tape is, but I have it somewhere.
We may have to put that on throwingbagels.com if we can.
Maybe
find
we
it.
could. Yeah, we'll put it on YouTube or something like that.
Can you is it like a cassette tape? Do you,
Oh,
do
it's
you
a
have-
cassette
Oh,
tape.
yeah.
It's a cassette tape.
How are you? Do you have a cassette player? Like you can like.
I mean, I have a cassette player somewhere.
I'm
sure I do.
terrified that my cassette player is going to chew it up.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
if
gonna
I
have
press
to
play.
I'm gonna have to find a way to like do a cassette to MP3 type thing or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, there's companies that do that for you.
Yeah, I don't do it on my own. I don't need someone else doing it for me.
We're having work done in the basement, so we had to clear out some stuff. And I'm going through. I must have at least 200 cassettes of
Oh my
just
God.
the
Yeah.
CDs and VHS tape, like movies. Like I would record off the
Oh, yeah.
WTOP movie
I did that
marathon.
also.
So
I still have all
plug in a
those.
tape and record the movie. So I had tapes full of those movies. It's crazy.
Yeah, I still have all those. So let's switch gears for a second here. Let's go quickly. Let's talk a little baseball
Okay.
quickly. So last time we spoke, the Mets were playing the Dodgers, and they were game. I think it was game 3, game 4, maybe something like
Yeah.
that, right around that time. So they go on to lose to the Dodgers. Dodgers are now playing the Yankees in the World Series, and what a crazy first 2 games that was.
Yeah.
Game 1, Freddie Freeman hits a walk-off grand slam after Aaron Boone, I don't know what he was thinking, decides, firstly, he took Garrett Cole out really early. Then he brings in Nestor Cortez to pitch to Freddie Freeman. I mean, it's like a pick your poison. They get Ohtani out, but then you go from one MVP to the next MVP and Mookie Betts. We're like, we'll walk him and we'll go to the next MVP and we'll pitch to Freddie Freeman because we have a lefty on the mound. And one pitch in, game over.
Yeah.
So Freddie Freeman, by the way, when he hit that home run, you should just stare at his teeth because that's all I could concentrate on. His beautiful teeth. I mean, just absolutely shiny, beautiful teeth.
When you make that much money, you can afford to.
Wonderful.
And there were comparisons to Kirk Gibson's home run.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, it happened, I think, exactly
a minute apart.
Yeah. Basically a minute apart.
Yeah.
At the time they hit the home runs. And
one was 8:38, one was 8:39 or something like that.
It was the same date too. Exactly.
Right,
We're exactly
right.
Whatever that date is. I can't do the math. 2024 minus 1988. Go. 36. Was it 36? I think it's 36.
It was 1988, so 36 years ago.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
Good job, Kevin.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. So now then game 2 happens and the Yankees lose that game. So now we're on to game 3. As of the recording of this show, game 3 is tonight. And Yankees better win this one. I don't know. Maybe Aaron Judge might show up because I think there's an imposter playing in the playoffs right now.
Wow.
Because I don't think that's Aaron Judge playing in the playoffs right now.
I know.
By the time this airs on Wednesday morning, like we usually drop this podcast, the Yankees potentially could be
done.
Swept. That's right.
That would be fantastic.
That would be amazing. Be fantastic. And no one would feel bad, right? I mean, no one would feel bad about the Yankees because no one really likes the Yankees fans. Like those fans in general are just kind of jerks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there seemed to be some kind of expectation from Yankee fans that Met fans would be behind them, like rooting for the Yankees. Like,
no.
Yeah, and then they get upset when we don't. And then they get upset when we don't root for them. They're like, "Oh, you guys are just jealous."
No, we just hate you.
No, because you guys maybe maybe if you
don't
didn't
like
act
you.
like you deserve to win every year, I wouldn't hate you so much.
They're the Manchester United of
Uh,
baseball. Like that's what they are. They think that they're way up here when
Mm,
they're actually not.
yeah,
One,
it's an entitlement.
yeah,
Yes.
one
Yes, exactly.
championship in the last 24 years. Okay.
Meh.
And they talk like they've been winning it every year.
Yeah.
But they go into every season and be like, "We're gonna win. This is the year. We're gonna win it this year."
Yeah.
Major League Baseball could not have asked for a better World
Oh, yeah.
Series than the Dodgers
Yeah,
and
of
the
course.
Yankees.
No, I mean it's definitely. I mean, right now it's been a great World Series.
Mhm.
Uh,
Of course, the big thing hanging over the World Series is Juan Soto and where
Mm-hmm.
he's going to go. And so the
Yeah.
rumors have been, is he going to re-sign with the Yankees? No, the Mets are going to make a big play for him. And then John Heyman with the with MLB.com, I think. One of them, the Post, he used to write for the Post. I don't know if he still does,
Yeah.
whatever. But now he's saying that the Dodgers are definitely in the mix for Soto. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's their missing
Come
piece, right?
on.
because they deferred so much money for Otani that now they're like, well, we can afford it. We can afford him too, because he's not gonna defer money like Otani did. I don't know.
Right.
So, but apparently the Phillies are also
Yeah.
want to
Ugh.
be in on this too. But the
Ugh.
Phillies aren't going to be able to afford him. I don't think so.
The
It's going to come down to the Mets, the Yankees, and the Dodgers, and
Yeah.
just hopefully he hopefully doesn't get the allure of playing with three other MVPs. And
Yeah.
I know. But
you
you
know,
imagine that? Like Otani, Soto, Freeman, Betts.
oh my God,
How old is
That's like-
Soto?
25.
I think he just turned 26.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
I mean-
He's gonna sign a 15-year contract.
He is.
Yeah.
And the rumor is he does not like the West Coast. He prefers the East Coast. So
Oh, well, there you go.
just
Well,
like
the Mets have the money. The Mets have
So-
the money. So
I'm confused why he doesn't want to sign with the Yankees again, though.
he might. He might. We don't
just
know.
they can't give him as much as the Mets can. That's why.
Here's so as Met fans, the three of us, you can argue that this is probably the most heavily anticipated offseason that I could ever remember in my life as a
Oh,
Met
definitely.
fan, because
Without a doubt.
the Mets have more money than the Yankees do. So
Yeah.
this is amazing. This could really transform the franchise this offseason.
But you know what wins championships?
What?
Pitching.
Pitching.
It's
Does.
true.
It does.
They better get some of that too.
They need a lot of that.
I thought defense wins championships, Chris.
That's in football.
Okay.
And basketball. And hockey. But not baseball.
Not baseball. No, you gotta have pitching. Gotta have the pitching, baby.
So that'll do it for this edition of the Throwing Bagels podcast. Kevin, this was a great show, as always.
Yes.
Chris, as always, a great show.
Indeed.
You can catch us at Throwing Bagels at gmail.com. You can catch us on
No.
Instagram. No? Throwing Bagels podcast at gmail.com.
Yes.
Yes. See, I knew it. At Throwing Bagels podcast at gmail.com. No, that's not right. Throwing Bagels.
Kevin's gone. Kevin's out of the picture.
Dead. I'm
I said-
dead.
I said at Throwing Bagels.
You did. There's two ats in there. You can't. That's not an email address.
I was like, wait, no, that's not right.
We're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn,
We're all over the
X.
place.
formerly known as Twitter,
All over the place.
Reds. It's all Throwing Bagels.
All the time.
.com.
Yeah.
Throwingbagels.com. That's correct.
There you go.
Bye.
See ya.
Adios.